Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Disability Advisory Commission's meeting for February 8th, 2017. I call this meeting to order. We will begin with our roll call. Commissioner Vandelingert.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Renaud.
Present.
Vice Chair Stutzman.
Present.
Absent tonight are Commissioners Herzog and Commissioner Moore. Would you please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And one more name on the roll call, Robert Harris.
Present.
And with that, we will get to our staff reports, and I will start to my far right with Mr. Harris. Do you have anything to report this month, Mr. Harris?
Do not have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Vanderlingert.
Yes, sir. I have one thing to talk about. I spent the last several weeks in an e-scooter, putting me rather closer to the ground than normal. And I did find some interesting things, which I discussed with Councilman Roland Winters, who has explained to me this has been a lifelong problem. And that's the simple switches that cross the street. There are various heights. I mean, you can reach some of them in a chair, and sometimes you have to kind of reach up to get out of the chair to get out of it. And it's something I think we need to look at. And it prompted me to talk to Councilman Winters about the ADA. That we don't have a copy of it. Well, as of tonight, Mr. Harris has taken care of that problem, and we all have a copy of the ADA. And it's something I would personally like to study to find out if these switches in the city of Surprise are outside the requirements that's where they should be. Also, I think it gives us an insight into the ADA to help local businesses. There's a lot of fraud going on in terms of suing companies over violations that they have absolutely no idea that they're violating because of a matter of inches. For example, a handicap sign supposed to be X feet, 2 inches, and they're X feet. They got a $100,000 lawsuit. So I think it's something that we should be, as the advisory council, not only to the city of the city council, but to the people of Surprise. If a business comes to us, we should be able to answer questions: are you in compliance or not? And that's something I think I would like to take on, because I am in part of the business. I'm not sure what we call that. You know, we each have individual obligations to certain areas, and business is one of mine. So I want to look into that, and that's what I intend to work on a little bit more.
Well, I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, because I've had a couple of at-length conversations with Chairman Winters myself this month over the same thing. So I was going to put that on the agenda for next month.
Excellent.
So I'm glad that somebody else is up to speed on that.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to report, Commissioner Vanderlingert?
No, I don't. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Renaud, do you have anything to report this month?
I do. So I was approached by a veteran who was admiring my service dog and said he'd been trying to get one for his seizures. He wanted a seizure alert dog, but he was having difficulties getting one. And all the organizations that he went to said that he had to go through the VA. So I started looking into that, and the VA does not provide service dogs. They do provide equipment, like harnesses, and also medical care for a service dog. But they don't provide service dogs themselves. They refer people out to organizations. I reached out to Bergen University, and they said that the VA provides healthcare and other benefits, such as paying for a service dog harness in support of maximizing the use of the service dog. And this applies to mobility service dogs, hearing dogs, and guide dogs. In order to obtain these benefits, veterans must be approved for a service dog through the VA, and they must obtain the dog from an Assistance Dog International accredited organization. America's Vet Dogs provides service dogs, hearing dogs, seizure response dogs, PTSD service dogs, and guide dogs to disabled veterans of all eras. They do not require VA approval, and all veterans are welcome to apply. Their website is vetdogs.org. Soldier's Best Friend is another nonprofit in Arizona devoted to U.S. military veterans diagnosed with combat-related PTSD or traumatic brain injury. They provide trained service or therapeutic companion dog aids in their readjustment to civilian life through a canine connection. So veterans need to be diagnosed with combat-related PTSD or TBI. Freedom Service Dogs stated it's not a requirement for a veteran to go through VA in order to be eligible for a service dog. Part of the application process includes a form and a letter required from their physician or therapist indicating the diagnosis and medical history that would qualify for a service dog. And then Dogs for Vets works with disabled veterans to help them train their own dogs to be a service dog at no cost. They do not provide dogs if a veteran does not have one, but recommend using rescues to find a dog they like. However, their training facility is located in Gilbert, and that's approximately 1 mile from the VA clinic. Their website is dogs4vets.org. And that's all I have.
And Robert, can we get those websites up on the Facebook page? Would we be able to get those websites up on the Facebook page?
Sure. If Commissioner Renaud, if you want to provide me, if you have some notes, maybe I can take a copy of those and put those up. That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Renaud. My report went right along the lines of Commissioner Vanda Langert, so I will save mine for the end of our meeting. Vice Chair Stutzman, do you have anything to report this month?
I do. I met with a gentleman, Michael Millman, and he offers training for ham radio training. I was meeting with him specifically for possible use with the blind, but he said that they do training for many different disabilities, blind, deaf, mobility, cognitive difficulties, any kind of disability. And he was talking to us about ham radios that were portable hand radios, like a walkie-talkie would be, not the big setups that you would think of with the giant antennas. And the reason that they are offering this training for people to get proficient on the use of ham radio or get their ham radio operator's license, which is $15, is for two reasons. One is for emergency communication. If there would be a power outage, in a disaster situation, storm, fire, anything where they either could not access a phone, the phone lines were down, as we've seen has happened in different tornadoes and natural disasters across the country, or even if they were traveling somewhere between cell towers and didn't have any reception, the ham radio can transmit at all times to 911, and it's broadcast off of repeaters if you needed to call a particular someone somewhere. So the number one issue that they were offering this to the disabled population is for the emergency use. The second is for socialization for anyone. Maybe they're recovering from an injury or an illness or have a permanent disability that leaves them homebound. Or if they don't have transportation that meets their needs as a disabled individual. They have set times during the day that you can tune in to different frequencies on the ham radio and be in a group with anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people for socialization, so that you can have that ability to interact with people So it was a very interesting presentation. Again, his name is Michael Millman, MILLMAN, his phone number. And Robert, I did send you all this information by email, so you already have it. His phone number is 602-384-8975, and his email address is kg1mdm@cox.net. The second item that I have for this evening is Maricopa County Public Health Department is working on a 3-year initiative, which is going to start in 2018. They've been doing focus groups and put surveys out, but they are coming to the City of Surprise on Tuesday, February 28th from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. here in the City Hall in the community room. And the sessions are ADA accessible. They will have refreshments, and they're also providing childcare. And what they're going to be doing is looking at community input on what their priorities should be in the public health stance for the county of Maricopa over the next 3 years. So the phone number, if you want more information, is 602-679-3098. The information is also on the City of Surprise's website, and just about an hour ago I sent it to Robert so that it can be on our Facebook page in the future. After that, spring training here in the City of Surprise starts on February 25th, so right around the corner. It's going to run through March 29th. Our stadium here has been absolutely wonderful in accommodating those with special needs, whether it be wheelchair access assistance for the blind, for seating, you name it, they have been wonderful. And this commission has worked with the city in increasing the handicap parking for our stadium here. So we do encourage you to come out and take part in that fun. Also, just a reminder that we are always looking for information for our Facebook page, and absolutely in search of recommendations for any company or business or individual in the City of Surprise who you feel has gone above and beyond in serving the disabled population of this city. So if you have any recommendations for someone that you would like to be rewarded, if you could email us or post it on our Facebook page, we would appreciate that. Also, Commissioner Van Natter, as we announced at our last meeting, had to resign. We are still looking for a replacement. So if anyone watching this is interested in possibly becoming a member of this committee, the city did send out an email to residents who signed up for that about how they can apply, and the application materials are also available on the city's website. And just a note for Mr. Harris that Commissioner Van Natter is still listed on our web page. So we'll just want to leave that so that it reflects the opening so that we can get some people to apply for that. And then the only other item I have, we can either put on, ironically, as an agenda item for next month, or perhaps Mr. Harris will be able to address it if he knows. I was wondering if any of the other committees here in the City of Surprise have protocol of canceling a meeting if they don't have any items on the agenda. Are you aware of any such rule? Yes, no, maybe?
I'm not aware of that rule.
Okay. I was just curious because I know that for our meeting, especially because of the closed captioning and there's a lot that goes into setting up for the meeting, and whether there was any need to not incur those services if we don't have any items on the agenda.
If there were to not be any items on the agenda, then it would be appropriate or could be appropriate to cancel the meeting. We just would want to do it, like you said, in advance.
Okay.
If that would be up to the chairman or the chair to decide to make that decision.
Okay. It's only happened once in my 4-year tenure. That was last month. So I just thought I would bring it up. And that is all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Stutzman. And I really like the ham radio suggestion you made, because there are not a lot of places in Maricopa County where cell towers don't reach, but I know with some cell phone carriers, when you're driving, say from Surprise to Kingman, and you're on that stretch of road where you go through Wickiup and Wickenburg, your cell phone will lose power, will lose connection, and you cannot get in and out at all. So if God forbid there is an accident or an emergency, at least you have a way to get a hold of somebody and they can figure out where you are. And at this time, I would like to open the call to the public. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that would like to address the commission? Going twice. Call to the public is closed. We will now move on with our agenda items. Our first agenda item is discussion and action pertaining to approval of the January 11th, 2017 DAC meeting minutes. I have read them. Did we all get a chance to read them, look them over?
Yes.
Does anybody have any I did not see anything that needed corrected.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the January 11th, 2017 Disability Advisory Commission meeting.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Commissioner Vandelengert has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. The meeting minutes will be accepted. Our second agenda item tonight is a presentation by the Arizona Developmental Disabilities Planning Council regarding the Employment First initiative. Do we have a representative in the audience?
We do.
Okay. Commissioner Renaud, I'll turn it over to you.
So I previously interned with the Planning Council, and this is my coworker, Michael Leva. He's also a good friend of mine, and he's going to give our presentation today.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Commission members. It's my privilege to be here tonight. I was here in 2014, so I feel like I'm coming back home.
Great.
And Brenda Renaud was our intern, and I had the privilege of working with her, and she helped a lot on the program that I'm going to share information on tonight. So I want to thank you again, Brenda, for all the work that you did. And she graduated from ASU with a 4.0 GPA. So
very nice.
Congratulations.
That was really great because she interned at the office full time and she went to school full time. That wasn't an easy task, but she was able to do that successfully. So again, thank you, Brenda, and thank you, commissioners. I'd like to talk to you informally tonight about an initiative that the Arizona Developmental Disabilities Planning Council has funded. And there's obviously a need because unemployment is so high in Arizona for people that have developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities. And when I use the term disabilities, I'm including intellectual and developmental disabilities and also people that have serious mental illness. If you look at the stats, according to the economic characteristics of workers with and without disabilities, a 2015 report, the employment rate for people with disabilities was only 21% compared with 61.9%. The individuals that were not in the labor force with disability, 76.6%. For people with no disability, it was 33.9%. The median earnings with a disability, 21,252. With no disability, 30,535. The poverty rate of people with disabilities, 20.7%. No disability, 16.9%. So you can see that those figures are really high. And what we decided to do is to work together collaboratively with other state agencies, providers, universities, Northern Arizona University, ASU, University of Arizona, and other state agencies, the Division of Developmental Disabilities, Vocational Rehabilitation, Department of Education, and our council, the Developmental Disabilities Planning Council. And our council is part of the Department of Economic Security, but we're different from other agencies in that we do not provide direct services. What we do provide is information, and we help to make policy changes to improve the lives of people with disabilities. We focus on 3 areas: employment, inclusion, and self-advocacy. And the projects that I'm most focused on relate to employment. So when we talk about employment, there is a myth in the community that people with disabilities do not want to work. People with disabilities do not have the capability to work, and that employers don't want to hire people with disabilities. And so we want to change that. And you would think that it would be an easy task, but it hasn't been easy. And so we're doing quite a bit to change that. When we talk about Employment First encompasses the belief that community-based integrated employment should be the primary day activity for working age youth and adults with disabilities. It supports an overarching goal that eligible persons with disabilities will have access to integrated work settings that are most appropriate for them, including the supports necessary to help them succeed in the workplace. Employment First does not mean employment only and does not deny individual choice. Employment First does not eliminate service options currently available, but is intended to increase employment opportunities. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring about systems change. We're trying to build capacity and to encourage businesses to hire individuals with disabilities. When we worked together with this group, there was really no disagreement because we were all on the same page. We all had the same vision. The goals were a little bit different, but we arrived at consensus. Excuse me. But it took 2 years to develop a strategic plan. You know that when you're working with the public sector, sometimes things move a little bit slower. But in the end, we came out with a really good product, and we did have a strategic plan. So when I was here in 2014, that's when Brenda was she was interning in the council. We were working on the strategic plan. We've since completed the plan, and now we're working on implementation. The good thing about our plan is that it focuses on 6 key directions. The key directions focus on collaboration, and that is to foster and maintain collaboration in order to increase the competitive employment of people with disabilities. 2, it increases awareness of the potential of people who have disabilities and advocate for their competitive employment. Another key direction is to prepare youth for competitive employment, especially in high potential employment sectors and including self-employment. The 4th key direction is to foster job creation, hiring, retention, promotion, and self-employment. 5th is to create and promote policies that lead to the successful employment of people who have disabilities. And 6th, foster the development of employment-focused supports. There are a lot of barriers that currently exist, and so we're working to help remove those barriers. I talked to you earlier about the myth that people with disabilities don't want to work. It's important to know that that individuals with disabilities are eager and willing to work, but oftentimes they're not given the opportunity. And so as a result of that, we've also created another program. And this program is called Untapped Arizona. And Untapped Arizona is a business-led organization that is really business to business. Businesses talking to others, setting the example, serving as role models, providing peer-to-peer support, and also technical assistance. Because we want to make sure that the business community fully supports this and embraces this. And so the Untapped Arizona has now a board of directors. They're filing for 501c3 status to become a non-for-profit organization. They have been receiving funds from our agency, the Developmental Disabilities Planning Council, but soon they're going to develop also a plan to be able to provide sustainability so that this effort can continue. I mentioned that there are 6 board of directors, and they're very eager to work with businesses. They're also going to join a national organization called the United States Business Leadership Network, and the USBLN is going to provide technical assistance to them, information on policies and procedures, information on how to eliminate bullying in the workforce and the workplace, because oftentimes individuals with disabilities are often bullied and taken advantage of. So this is this will complement what we're doing to promote employment. We also have another program that we have funded, and it's called the Work Incentive Information Network. And the WIN for short really is to work with benefit specialists that work with individuals with disabilities to share with them what the benefits are of working, how their quality of life can be improved, how they can move off of public benefit and move into the workforce and have a higher income, also be integrated into the community. So really what we're doing is we're building an infrastructure for employment. And the good thing about this is that there is universal support. When I say universal, I'm talking about statewide support. So we're real happy about that. And we're really creating model programs that other states in the United States are looking at, and that they can help or they can replicate or emulate. So we feel like we're really moving in the right direction. We feel that we also need to work on communicating and creating awareness, because oftentimes government sometimes operates in a vacuum, and they're really good about working and developing programs, but often the public is not aware of it. So that's the next phase of just making sure that the public is aware of what we're doing.
Great. So
I'd like to ask if there are any questions or if I could provide more information. I also brought some policy briefs. We have a policy brief that talks about the new minimum wage that was enacted, that was passed in 2016 and went into effect in January. That does have some repercussions, and there's some concern in the business community about how are they going to pay their employees an increased salary. We have a policy brief on how many people in Arizona have a developmental disability. Unfortunately, that figure is really high. According to this report, in 2015, 122,905 people have a disability in Arizona. We also have a policy brief on federal business tax credits that are available. Businesses don't know that the federal government has tax credits that can help them if they want to hire an individual. And oftentimes a business feels that, well, if I hire an individual with a disability, I'm going to have to provide accommodation. And oftentimes that accommodation is only an average of $600. So imagine if you can provide an accommodation to an individual and have that person work in your business. You're helping that individual. You're giving them a job. You're helping them be included in the community. They're now paying taxes. Their dependence on public benefit is decreasing. And you're also going to receive a tax credit. So there's a lot of good benefits that are available to businesses.
The different briefs that you were just talking about, are they available on your website that anyone can access
Yes.
them? Okay.
And we have about 28 different policy briefs. The ones that I brought today just focus on employment.
Mm-hmm.
But we have policy briefs on behavior, PBIS, which is behavior positive intervention and supports. It's really teaching elementary schools to help teachers work with children that have disabilities, not to remove them from the classroom, not to segregate them, to work with them. We have policy briefs on inclusion and self-advocacy. So yes, they're all available on our website.
Could you repeat your website for the people who are watching at home slowly so that they may write it down?
Yes, it's www.addpc. We just changed it recently. I'm sorry, www.addpc.az.gov.
Okay, so that's A, D as in dog, D as in dog, to stand for Arizona Developmental Disabilities Planning Council. So addpc.az.gov.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. And I also want to add that as we're working on implementation, we have formed committees to help with communication, communities to work with providers on systems transformation, provider transformation, and also employer engagement. And if there are any community members that would like to be involved in any of these committees, I'd like to be able to invite them to work with us.
And
Nice.
They would volunteer. They can contact me, and I can
give us your phone number?
My telephone number is 602-542-8975.
And do you have any flyers or any information that you would like us to make available to the public when we do different events? Often at community events, we'll have a table set up where we hand out resources. So if they're on your website, we can download them. If not, if you want to send a packet to Robert's attention,
Okay.
We can put those on our table at the different events.
Yes, we do. And we would like to share those.
Great.
Yes, please send those.
Yeah, I have a question. I worked a lot with disabled veterans from the VA. In the last several years, the privacy laws have literally cut us off from the VA. We can no longer get any information on veterans who need help. How are you finding people? Or are they finding you?
They're finding us.
Okay. Because you're helping them for employment purposes, right? Another thing would be that, as you mentioned, the minimum wage law, it's got to be a real issue right now for employers. Like a restaurant we frequent knocked out all their specials because they say we can no longer have specials because we can't afford such a low price meal, for example. How are you finding that to impact the kind of work you guys are doing?
Well, first of all, we did prepare a policy brief, but a lot of businesses are having to adapt. And some of them are increasing their prices for the meals. Some of them are looking at reducing the hours of employment for their workers, but not necessarily, laying off their employees. I have to be honest with you, it is an issue. And, there's no simple answer or solution to that.
I understand that. It's very unfortunate, too. It really is, because I think this minimum wage law is just really affecting the wrong people. But that's my opinion. So thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Well, thank you, sir, for your presentation. It was very
pleasure.
Informative. And please let us know any way we can help, and please send those briefs to us.
I will. Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
And our third agenda item tonight is discussion and action pertaining to future agenda items. And Robert, for next month, I would like to put the agenda item on the agenda that Commissioner Vanderlingert brought in to maybe form a group of us to go check those buttons for the crosswalks at certain lights. Did you get all that?
You'd like to form a committee? You'd like to discuss forming a committee?
Yes. Or getting a couple of the commissioners who are willing to go ahead and do that.
I certainly will.
Is that something that we need to take an action on to do that, or is that something that can be done independently by commissioners, or
I think we need to discuss that, don't we?
If that was something that you wanted to take on, since it was something that you were already doing within the focus area that was assigned to you, we don't have to take action on it. If anyone wanted to join you, 2 people can communicate by email in between meetings. We just can't have a quorum or it would violate open meeting, so you wouldn't be able to copy everyone. But if you wanted someone to accompany you and you weren't sure who was available in those times, you could always go through Robert to send us an email so that we don't violate that. If there's something that we can actually discuss and take a vote on, I can't think of what that item might be, but if there's a lot more to it, I know that you said you had some more discussions with Commissioner Winters. If there's something else that needs to be discussed, otherwise it would be a matter of doing independent research in between meetings and then reporting back in the report time. And if it led to, maybe having somebody from the City of Surprise Planning Commission or zoning or somebody like that come in, then we would definitely vote to put that on as an agenda item for the presentation, as opposed to a call to the public, so that we would be able to have 2-way communication with them.
I think that's a good idea that we do have. I will look into terms of the discrepancies from point to point, or the differences from point to point in terms of the cross streets. Okay. And then I do know some people at the city that I think we can come in and tell us exactly why these are the way they are. Because it could be something that's not covered in the ADA. I don't know yet. I will research that. So I'll communicate with the chairman as to where it's leading. How about that?
Okay.
That's great.
Do you think you might have something to report next month?
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any future agenda items?
So just to note, that'll again be as a follow-up report?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other agenda items?
Just for clarification, Robert, what month do we do elections? Is it May or June? Because I know terms expire in June, so I didn't know if we did it the month before. I think it was June. So I'll just say for the commissioners who are here, if you're considering being a chair or vice chair, be thinking about that over the next couple months so that you can throw your hat in the ring come election time. I don't have any items, action items for the agenda for next month.
Okay, how about you, Commissioner Renaud?
I don't.
And then you'll get back to us next month, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there any other business? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Vanderlangert has motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Commissioner Renaud has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hereby close this meeting of the Disability Advisory Commission for February 8th, 2017. Have a great month.